Welcome back. Welcome back again, After Hours. The culprits today. I'm making my way back. I had to get past the jet stream of the AC. The culprits today. I got a little bit of a new setup, so I'm just gonna type it anyhow. Just 'cause. Alright, yeah, this is confusing. Anyhow, the culprit today. We got something else I'm trying too. We have, funny enough, we have no auto. And we'll just go there for the time being. Got another thing going on, but I don't know. There it goes. If I literally got hit that button every time, like the camera just faded into obscurity. Let's see, can we zoom? Do we have the zoom feature that's actually going to work? To an extent, okay. The culprit today, we'll switch here just for the live view, is this Dell Inspiron. This is an Inspiron 3537, I believe, is what the service tag indicated. So I have to find a few screws here and see if these are enough. Yeah, I don't know what these indicate. We got screws taped up. That one might have fell in. If we're wondering about this, this isn't my doing. This is an external, or not external, yeah, an exterior attempt. So, as I unearth these screws, we will show you the problem with this from the description if anybody read that. Okay, allegedly all those are the same, and somehow I'm just not believing it. We'll figure out where they go. That's not the issue. So we have the Inspiron 3537, and then we have another computer on top of that. First, let's focus on this one. Let's take a look here. We're going to go ahead and switch to our zoomable cam. We want to take it down and hopefully be able to show if I can hold it steady. Look at that there. That is what happens when Coffe hits a laptop that's powered on. Now, granted, it only hit it in a few spots. Let's find out what. So we ended up getting it there. We hit it there. And where else? It shorted it out. That did a fair amount of damage for right there. There, a little over here, and then I think there was one other spot. Now, granted, we could try and replace those components. That would take a bit to identify these. Maybe we'd get lucky and pull them off of another board. We can do those level repairs on occasion. We typically don't. We just order like a new board. If it's a big enough part, you know, like some of the bigger ones on here, if one of these happens to go bad, the bigger chips or the Super I/O chip, we have replaced those. But typically we don't do the ones that you need a microscope to see what you're clearly soldering. That, and you'd need like a micro pencil to do those, which we don't have. But nonetheless, we'll go back to our standard view of the crappy cam. We're gonna try our luck. We've had luck lately with parts. We've got a part, so let's go ahead. We will work on getting this one removed. Entirely. We still have one screw is holding that whole thing in. Dell, you have a lot of trust. A lot of trust in your products. Where else? Wi-Fi card. And let's check the RAM to make sure it doesn't have a layer of plastic. Okay, no layer of plastic between the RAM and the board, so it can be pulled out. The hard drive, I do believe we need to pull. Can we pull that out? And we can. Go ahead and remove it. Alright, our board is fairly loose now. We can remove the DC jack, speaker, and that is both all at once, and then we still have our LCD cable, which let's attempt to take. What cable was that? Webcam, touchscreen perhaps? It might be our touchscreen. Let's take a look. Yep, touchscreen cable is it's what it appears to be. We'll remove that. And lastly, the LCD ribbon cable just should slide out, but let's check. Oh, nope. Okay, we do have some tape here. I didn't see it till I flipped the board around in the light. Alright, fair enough. Now we do have to move our RAM, the heatsink fan, and the heat spreader. All that needs to move over to the new board. For now, we can get this out of our way and we will work on the new board. Let's go ahead, we'll check out our new board. Alright, we've got a match, shape-wise. Alright, so the shape is the same. And also, we should have an identifier. Let's look. Let's see if we can we get in close with our other camera? Well, we can get fairly close. So there is the LA9982P revision 3. LA9982P revision 3 in 5/23/2013. 5/23/2013. So that goes to show the age of these computers. Whenever you're buying something such as this, the used board, it can be a gamble with how long it's going to last. We really can't offer any warranty other than what we get when we buy them, and I believe some boards you get lucky and you'll get 90 days. I think the most warranty I've ever seen on a laptop motherboard replacement, or maybe it was an all-in-one, was like 6 months. I think 180 days. Yeah, you're not guaranteed a whole lot. Before we confuse anything, something that I do like to do once I start removing parts, and things come up. Somebody could show up, phone could ring, important call, who knows. I'm going to go ahead and put a mark on the new board. That way we have an identifier that we've worked on it. I'll put it right there by the Dell. That's something I've done. I can remember. I know we could tell by the sticker, but hey, something I did, I'm more likely to remember it. If I had to walk away, I could come back and without a doubt tell. Same thing here, but now I got to remember a sticker, and I've tried that before and still confuse stuff. So I always like to just put some kind of little mark on it with a paint marker or another marker, just to be able to tell them apart. You could move parts right over, I suppose, is another way to do it, and that can get confusing. So I'm going to go ahead and take what we need from this board over here. Let's go to that. We'll take what I need from this board and set it beside this one, and we'll get the old bad one out of the way. Not only that, being that this did get shorted as such, is another indicator that it's bad. But when you start getting distracted, I'm telling you, all kinds of things come up. You do it long enough and you will put the same bad part back in something and then laugh at yourself when you find out what you did. Or just tell other people and let them laugh at you. That's easier. You don't have to laugh as much. That is an odd spot for Capcom tape. Odd spot. We do have some thermal paste to clean off. There we go. I guess that's a little bit better view compared to our usual haziness of the Logitech C920. We have one screw mounting our fan. One thing I think, if you're going to get into doing this as a hobby or, you know, a passion, whatever, I think one thing that's good to do, what's the swipe on the battery? We'll get back to that. One thing that's good to do is to develop, what do I want to call it? Develop a system. Make it work your way. You know, maybe the way somebody else doesn't entirely work taking parts off and setting them down. Maybe the direct transfer would work for you. Time saver, you're not handling stuff twice. All kind of things. Before we go much further, right now we're going to grab our multimeter and test both of our batteries. Whichever one has the highest voltage we will keep, and if both are low, we'll get a new one out of the pack and put it in. But for now, let's check with our multimeter. We have a stubborn one over here. Is that really? I was going to say that can't be. We never pull audio from it. Let me go ahead and hide that source. Alright, we're back to normal now. We've got what we need off of the bad one. No mark. And definitely some damage. I don't know how close this thing will focus. I'm trying to get the closest possible. Look at that, where that coffee hit. Oh yeah, there's the other spot. So although it hit, it didn't really short anything out in those locations. It did get it there, one there, over here a little further, a little bit in that location there as well. So all in all, not good. Not good. Alright, out of the way. Check. This is, let's find out. Alright, we now have the battery out of the dead motherboard. We'll check our voltage for it. 3.01, 02, 3.08, and I think what, 3.24. So the one that came with the new board is actually a higher voltage. We're going to send you away. Let's grab our thermal paste brush. And we'll try and knock loose this stuff that is left. Not much, but we did get some. Most of it sticks in the brush. As you can see there, the clumpier stuff does end up sticking, works its way up. What we do, just re-shrink the heat shrink, make it tight, chop the end off the brush, and good to go usually. one. Get our tiny alcohol. Oh, while we're at it, guess we could get our brush and our dustpan back. Some sticks, some left behind. You can see it's dry. It's not completely dry. It does spread a little, but it's definitely not reusable. I have reused thermal paste in a situation where I ran out and I was waiting for more, but it's not a long-term solution. It's already dry, already beyond its life for that application, so typically go with new when you can. Tiny alcohol. That evaporated. Might actually be able to show something today. So let's bit much on here. We're going to try and pick some back up and move it over to the other die. There we go. Let's put this back and install our heatsink. The fan doesn't look too bad. Overall, the fan doesn't look bad. The heatsink doesn't look bad, so. Look at that crazy color. Where does that come from? It has to come from the light on the BGA section. Looks to me like a little bit rainbowy. Far better than the Sony camera though, so I guess I can't complain too much. generally, I've said it before, when installing these, I get a few threads on each screw and then work them down evenly. And an X pattern corner to corner. I don't think it's detrimental. The outcome, I don't think it's going to be disastrous results if you don't do it that way. Like I said, just habit. DDR3 low voltage. Alright, we're ready to install back into the bottom case. Bottom case of the housing on the laptop. So let's go ahead and get this in here. We have our LCD cable and speakers. We want both of those out of the way. The ribbon cable we can put there. Our fan is attached. Let's see what goes there, but that, okay, it's the Wi-Fi card. We have our DC jack. We'll go ahead and get that plugged in. Do I need to zoom out? Yep, we got it zoomed out. We'll plug our DC jack in to the board and verify that it is plugged in. You can see that side, it's a little bright, but it is there. LCD connector will be next. This, we have to rerun our wire. Trying to get, this has adhesive on it. I want this to stick down where the plug is fully plugged in, not back out of the socket a little bit. It needs to plug in fully, and it wasn't due to being stuck down. That feels better. That is plugged in. Now we can go back and lift this part of it and get it to where it needs to be. And we do have one screw here and then one for the Wi-Fi card. Remember, put the screws in where, that's broken, where you see the white arrows. That's the only one in here, so the rest of the screws hold it through the top case. And then we have a Wi-Fi wire that will also need routed. I don't, however, happen to know. I have this coming out here, and then just sitting there. I guess it sits just in that one little spot, and we will see. It makes sense. I can see it, but we'll have to pay particular attention to that. Let's go ahead and reroute that cable. Of course, it's not going to want to stay down. Now the next piece to go in. Now let's find out. That, and then we have access to our keyboard. We'll check all our connections one final time. Wi-Fi is good. DC jack, LCD connector. DC jack is in place as well. The speakers, forgot the one ribbon cable. That would have been fun tearing it back apart to get the USB port working. Then we have two connections on our top case, which would be our trackpad and our power switch. And before we go much further though, I want to disassemble this slightly to check out the components and see, did our Coffe culprit get in here and vandalize our trackpad? That's what we need to know. We do have evidence. We do have the evidence right there of some Coffe. So I think it well worth investigating to make sure there's nothing else shorted out. If so, we will need to get another part. And this is going to be an incomplete repair, but we should still be able to plug in a mouse. Worst case scenario, use an external mount wireless mouse. Alright, the two buttons that click look in. That's very hard to see, I understand. Apologies, friends. Our left and right click look good. How exactly is that in there, I wonder? Well, we can see the opposite side here. No shorts there. And we can see these side of these components, everything looks good. The only part I would be questioning is there a layer on the other side of this circuit board in between it and this top piece. This doesn't look like it's very easy to get in and out. It is either going to be glued or snapped in place from what I can see. Either way, I don't want to risk breaking that, so we will put our 2 screws in and bring hope into the equation that that's good. I suppose if there was a bad enough short, we could take the whole system down again. Being that the short happened on the motherboard, I don't think the trackpad would be short, but it could be. It very well could be. And the power switch, just for reference there, is okay there. And that's our power button. Ribbon cable. The reverse side, everything's good. There's actually no signs of coffee other than these couple little spots where it came through. Alright, snappy. Let's find out what screws. What screws go here? M2 by 3. Look at that. 2.5 by 5, 2 by 3, 2.5 by 5. No indication. That one I'm going to say comes through. Nope. Wrong. There has to be a screw that goes there. Or it's something on the back of the keyboard, which there are none. Okay, so this literally just goes in and snaps in place. One. M2.5 by 5, 2 by 3, 2 by 3, 2.5 by 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. M2.5 by 5. And 2 of the M2 by 3. 2 by 3s will be these small ones with little smaller shank with the threading. There's those 2, and then 2 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. M2.5 by 5, a little longer screw. Boy, I mean, can we even show that? Yeah, it keeps grabbing the background. There it goes. Finally, Panasonic, you figured out what you're doing. Be a loser all your life. Little micro 4/3 camera. We have a 6th one up there. Alright, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought there was 5. Am I just not counting? Well, apparently brain do not work. Brain no work today. Plugging in the power button. Always use caution when lifting up on the little latches for these connectors. They do not, I don't really have much room here, they do not like to be forced. There we go. Whenever you lift these up, literally just makes a 90-degree motion, and then you will have your ribbon cable. Alright, that's good. Let's get our keyboard connected here. We'll go for the keyboard. To see, hopefully, if any coffee hit the keyboard, and there doesn't appear to be evidence of that either, just really the trackpad coming through there and along the edge. Well, it's fairly bright. Try and kill that harshness a little bit. We have 2 screws that we need to put into the hard drive. They are your typical 2.5-inch hard drive screws, also the same thread as the CD-ROM in a desktop, but you definitely don't want to use those long screws. Same thread though. If ever doing one of these models, don't try and force your drive in. You do have here and here on the width of the drive, this little bracket with screws sticking out. It will literally drop right in on the back here and rotate down. So stand it up, in, rotate it down, and then you'll be able to push it back. Take note to leave your plastic tab up. This is what you're going to pull to lock your drive in. And then you'll have a screw here and here that fit this typical hole in 2.5-inch hard drives and SSDs. And there your hard drive is locked in. We've got screws to go around the bottom first. Let's see if we got any justice. And then we can move on to another culprit. We have the Optiplex 780 sitting over here. We'll go back to that view for a moment. Not as important as rebuilding this thing. All right. Let's throw our door on. Are there any screws under the door? None. Okay. We'll attach this in a moment. For now, we can grab our Dell power supply. It is the bigger one, not the small one. The older style big one. This person did not, I don't believe, bring a DC jack in with them, so we will be quick to grab our Dell one. Zooming up, just grab the universal. That's all we really need for the time being. Can we get to the BIOS and set our time and everything? We did pull our battery. I don't know if it bled all the power off, but we'll check it. We go F2. I saw a flash on the screen. Pretty wild sound. It's like beeping. I've never heard a Dell beep like that. Alright, our screen is lighting up. There we go. Pretty wild. We're in the BIOS. Let's check our time. It is 6:38, so converting that to military time, adding 12 would be what, 18:38? We'll say 39, or sorry, 30, 38. 30, let the time roll, and our date is going to be what, 6:06, enter 24, enter 2019. And let's do one final experiment. HDMI to the board. Can we display it for you people out there? No BIOS, not on this one. Always hopeful. It's not the way some HDMIs are wired, though. Okay, date is set. Advanced. Let's go through. We'll set some other settings real quick. We're going to have speed step virtualization, the integrated NIC, USB emulation, USB or SATA operation, all enabled. SATA operation is going to be AHCI. Let's just check the other option. That's the only one. Adapter warnings, we'll keep that enabled for this customer. Function keys, behavior, function key, or multimedia key. We'll keep it function. That was what this board was set to. External USB ports enabled. Escape out. Security. CompuTrace is deactivated. Legacy boot. Drive, and let's check our UEFI boot. Windows Boot Manager from that hard drive. Secure boot. Legacy. So it is booting legacy instead of UEFI. Let's go over to, we're going to exit and save the changes and see if this computer can bring up Windows. We're going to clean the screen. It's fairly dirty. It is a touch screen. No boot device found. Press any key to reboot the machine. So we're going to get into our BIOS. Go over to boot. We're going to set the boot list option from legacy to UEFI. Let's also see secure boot is not enabled. We may need to come back into the BIOS to enable that. Exit save changes, yes, and see what happens. And that looks more like a Microsoft Windows logo to me than the no boot device. Clean the massive amount of dirt off of this touchscreen. A little better. Still denied. Okay, while that is doing what it does, actually, let's flip this up. We're at a big pause, big pause while it's loading. Now's a good time for a coffee break. Funny enough, we shouldn't hold it over that. That's what took it out. Sorry, sad computer, don't get scared. We're not gonna pour coffee on you again. Alright, Windows is attempting to do its thing. We're going to let that load for the time being. Thanks, Restream. You're a little bit late telling me that Google can access my account. The hard drive is not without issues. Ooh, the pin is incorrect. Well, hi, little puppy. How are you? How are you, friend? Look at that. I do not. This has to be. Okay, no, it's 10. It's not 8. I was gonna say that's that interface is just awful. We're gonna do something that makes a little more sense for the time being. Okay. All the icons come back, of course. We switched from tablet mode. Wow, there are so many that they can't even fit on the screen. Just a quick look, that's what we're dealing with. There's a lot of icons. So, I would say pretty fair. Or I'd say it's pretty safe to say that everything is working. We have a few screws to go back in. Few short, few long, or most long, few short. M2.5 by 5, so we have a couple of those, and we know what they look like. They're going to be here, here, and perhaps a couple other places. We'll take a look real quick to see. There's only one more that I have questions about of where this screw goes. It's of a different thread type than everything else, so we'll have to look into it. Let's go ahead and get on over to repair 2. Wow, none of those other ones match. I don't think that screw belongs to this build-up. And if anything, we have one extra of those, unless another spot calls for it. Which I don't believe it does. We're going to be careful winding all these in because they are longer. That's the 2 different lengths, and we don't want to go winding one up into the top case. That's generally what happens when they're too long. And that we don't want to happen at all. Okay, these are all of similar length. So I don't think we shouldn't run into any problems. And I do believe I found the place for that screw that I said seemed like it was from another computer. It is of a way thicker, like the shank, the threaded part of the screw. It actually goes in and holds down the CD-ROM right there. Let's remove our door very quickly. I want to see, is there a spot? Did I overlook? We have one screw left, and it is of the same size as the ones that went through the top case and the two that were back here. Could I have overlooked one? Perhaps. Can we go in there? That would be our culprit right there. Last screw for the job going in. Alright, I'd say that's accomplished. And let's look at further instructions. Spilled a small amount of coffee on the keyboard. Spilled a small amount of coffee on the keyboard. Won't turn on, spilled coffee, motherboard shorted, just 3 jobs. Needs new board, Dell. Okay, so we got the info from the board. Install our battery. We do want to make sure that this board in question that we just installed, we want to make sure that it charges the battery and functions. Everything functions as normal so far that I can see. Windows definitely needs to clean up. It's slow, but you know what? The computer's not here for that. It was here due to a coffee spill. The job with replacing the motherboard, logic board is completed, so I think we'll call that one there, and we'll move on to our Optiplex 780, which is a fairly old computer. Okay. Computer's waking up. Let's see if we can get a battery icon when we let the Windows screen load. Indeed we do. If we click on it, it goes away. Let's put the pin in quick. Logged in, and we'll check our charge icon, charge time. Alright, fully charged 100%. It's not charged no more, and we are running off of battery. When we plug it in, can we tell? Okay, power mode on battery, battery performance. Well, that changed to plugged in. Functioning like normal so far. Yeah, I'm gonna call that. Let's put our start menu away, and Alt F4, we're going to shut this one down and clear the bench of this matter. Alright. One out of the way. Let's go for number 2. This thing, when it was first hooked up, let's drag it over here as far as we can. We can't really move the above view. What we can do though is swing our one arm, and we can zoom out, but that's about as far as we can get. When this came in, it was having some issues. We're gonna wake it up. We'll see if we can indeed wake it up. It appears like it's waking up. However, it will randomly blue screen, and not always. the issue with it was that no mouse would work with it. So let's let this boot up and we will... What do we need to display from this? We can use... Do we have a display port connection? That would be a miracle if we did. I don't think it's under there. Never mind, I take that back. It is. We do have a DisplayPort connection. So we'll get this up on the software as well and see if our mouse does work indeed. And we're going to try a few different ones. I have an idea what the problem was. So let's go ahead and get this. Alright, we're waiting on Windows to load up Windows. It's extremely slow. Another issue is the hard drive is very noisy. That is going to be a recommended replacement. But the issue why it's here is that it works with no mouse, no how. Alright, let's find out. We'll pull up the repair interface and we can wait on... You don't... Oh, it was never set up. Okay. So because it was never set up, we don't have it displaying to a secondary monitor yet. Alright, we'll go ahead and let it get into Windows. It's extremely slow. Let's find out. Did it pull it up? Okay, so it's starting to pull it up little by little. And this is our secondary display, not at all what we want. Let's go ahead. We got a little right click action going, whether it's going to work or not. We don't know. That is as high as I can go too. I literally cannot. The ROM is pulled out, sitting to the side. I can't move it any higher. And if you can't tell, this mouse is working. It works. We're going to try a wired USB mouse. And I do not believe we can use... There are no PS2 ports, no other interface other than USB. So we got USB, and if you're using wireless or wired, that's your only option, I suppose. If you're one of those people out there, you could use one of the opposite of these and go from, or I guess no, yeah. Get a PS2 mouse and switch it over to USB. We have some of that here, but we're not gonna use that. Just to try a PS2 mouse. Alright, let's go switch our displays from extended to duplicate. Very good. Keep the changes. We're duplicating, and now we should have the same thing up on both, and we do. Okay, 1920 by 1080. Very good, very good. As you can see, a mouse works. So we do have a wireless optical mouse working. We'll go ahead and grab another one off of the wall of junk. This is our USB mouse, and we're gonna plug in and test out a few ports. What I think happened, if I had to take a guess why no mouse was working, we don't want to restore pages. Let's just close. Exit page. What happened to Chrome? We don't have Windows showing this up, so. Is this just an ancient version of Chrome that I don't recognize from it being so old? It could be. I'm not entirely sure. We do have a few issues though, so mouse working. My idea is that they got a wireless mouse and possibly put batteries in, and if the mouse also happens to have a spot to store the dongle underneath, perhaps they didn't take that out and plug it in. I've made that mistake a couple times myself. Other people have made it. I've helped other people that made it. This is supposed to be a wireless mouse. How does it work? You gotta look in your packaging. I went out on a road call before going to another job and set up 3 computers. And after setting the computers up, I'm like, hey, we need to get these mice and keyboard working. Where is the packaging? Oh, I threw it away. It's in the dumpster. Like, I crumpled it up and threw it away. It's like, yeah, we need all that. The adapters, whenever you get like Logitech and whatever brands, they used to wedge the little receiver. This would be stuck into a piece of cardboard in the packaging somewhere. Like where it was obvious you would see it, but they got thrown away on that job, so we had to go out and go dumpster diving to get them back. Best guess, that's what happened. They have a wireless mouse that will not work with it, or possibly a Bluetooth mouse. And as you can see, there's no Bluetooth here. And as far as what web browser is running, I have no clue. Oh, that's a nice ugly toolbar. What is that? Web Discover. Okay, well, I guess we can leave that there. We are going to go ahead and, when you have a noisy hard drive, it's hard to tell how to proceed. There's a few problems, I believe. One listed with this thing was mouse not working, and it is a little slow. There's always a risk when you have a noisy hard drive that something is going to fail, and you can proceed 2 routes. You can immediately try to do a backup of that drive and either A, do it on the system, like boot on the actual Windows system such as this, run whatever, pull your data off that you need, or run like auto backup or any of the other variants of backup software. Acronis has a true image for cloning, and they have backup solutions in there as well, backup and restore. But whatever software it is you're going to run, you could run that from on the computer, boot it into Windows. You could shut down, pull the drive, as we do, and plug it into a dock if you have one, or another way to power it externally. 3.5-inch drives, make sure you have the appropriate power and interface to plug into another computer. You can't use the little SATA, the USB adapters for 3.5-inch drives. You need to get a separate power source coming from the wall or from a powered dock to power these. 2.5-inch drives and SSDs, hard disk drives, that adapter will work. And that's one option. Do the backup right away with a noisy hard drive. Another option, and I don't know that it's ever worked, it made the computer faster. However, what it didn't do was stop the noise in the hard drive, was to run check disk. It fixed some errors. I don't know if it deleted, removed, whatever, orphaned and unlinked files, problems with the drive, bad sectors, whatever all check disk does when it runs. That's helped out systems. I think I'm going to schedule check disk, reboot the computer, and call this in limbo for the day. We'll let it run there. The problem this had when it first arrived was it was just beeping, and I'm like, how on earth do they know no mouse works when the power light stays amber instead of going green and it just beeps? One of the sticks of RAM here had worked itself out over time a little. So that's what had happened. The far one over here toward the power supply had worked up out of the slot a little. Pulling it all, reinserting, fixed that problem, it booted up, and then we got to see the mouse issue. So it looks like they have a couple things going on here. Here, let's take a look around and see what we got going on. Let's see if we could find some potential problems. Alright. Do you see some potential problems out there? Let me know. Let me know in the chat if you see any potential problems with the stuff we're looking at. Just what's going on here. And we'll take a look here to see, can we find any other problems? And then we're going to go one final place to check for problems. What is that? Okay, that's the web discover. And let's go to our final destination on the computer and see. We'll type in control for control panel. We want to head there. We'll hit enter when it shows up top. Flip this over to from category to small icons, and now we are going to go into programs and features. We're going to look for further problems here. Okay. Do you see it? Oh my goodness. Do you see it? Look at it. It's a glorious thing. Okay, some of the slowness, I think, can be attributed to this. We still have a noisy hard drive that is aging, but I've heard hard drives be noisy for years and never stop running. A noisy drive, depending on the noise, does not always mean bad hard drive going to fail. You know, warning, caution, replace, get a new one in there, out with the old, in with the new. That's not what a noisy hard drive means. They can be noisy and run for a good many years. This actual shop, Dave, I think, had an old Windows machine that had a hard drive that would whine, just, and it, years, 10 years or better, I'm going to say. I don't have an accurate number, but I know it was years that thing was whining along for. So noisy hard drive doesn't always mean bad. What is bad, though, is this. So, did I hit the right button? Thankfully I did. I thought I was killing the stream right there. I thought I poked my big fat fingers into the wrong button. You loser, what are you doing? Press the right button. Okay, so here's part of our problem. Let's take a look. We're going to use the wireless mouse. Okay, the mouse problem, I think, is they didn't plug the dongle in, or they got a Bluetooth mouse. Now, let's maximize this. We'll take an install date and see what order this stuff happened in. So as of late, we've got AVG antivirus free. We have ByteFence anti-malware. We have AVG secure browser, which they're all very vastly different programs that do some similar things, but for the most part extremely different. Going further down, we've got the driver support, Norton Security Scan. We've got Segurazo antivirus. Never heard of it. So just in 2019, we have, we'll count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 antivirus programs installed in 2019. What I equate that to, that situation, the too many antivirus programs, is it's kind of like you have something you want to protect, okay? So you go and you hire a security guard. And then you hire another security guard, and what you don't do is let each security guard know that the other's going to be there. So while they're standing there on first night of duty, guarding the perimeter, keeping things safe, is they're going to be butting heads because, you know, hey, what are you doing here? Well, hey, what are you? While those guards are butting heads with each other because they don't know each other's supposed to be there, whoever else can come in and do damage, vandalize, rob the place. In other words, your antivirus programs are confusing each other and not able to properly do their jobs if they're confusing each other. Also slowing down your computer. Bring it to a screeching halt? No. I mean, maybe if you installed enough of them. However, in this case, there's definitely too many. We're going to remove a couple of them. We need to talk to this guy to see what he wants. And I'm going to explain the difference with explain the why I have one. Now, you could have the malware program in your antivirus, and then Windows Defender will do its own thing. Whatever features of it are not shut off by a malware program or an antivirus, it will continue to do those functions. But parts of it do get shut down when you install an antivirus and whatnot. This is going to have to wait till tomorrow, though, because I need to call this gentleman and find out which antivirus he wants to go with. There are some good contenders there. I'm not a fan of AVG, their secure browser, or their AVG antivirus free edition. I really don't like the ByteFence anti-malware. Driver support can just leave. That's not even a thing right there. Don't fall for it. Perhaps we can keep Norton. Would I keep Norton overall? Would I keep Norton overall? No. Segurazo antivirus, that's got to go. So that's where we'll leave it. We'll come back with this tomorrow. Get a call into this guy. It is late. It is past business hours, so I'm not going to call him tonight. But now we know what direction we're heading. And we will see what can we figure out, what can be done with the no mouse works. He said he tried a couple. Maybe he did buy a couple mice, but I'm willing to bet that the dongle was neither removed or maybe thrown out with the packaging and never installed, and he just has the mouse with the batteries and it's not working. I think that's very likely, because one thing that is common with computers, and we'll look around and see how many have this actual symptom right now that are on the front counter here. We're going to take a look. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 out of the however many computers that are here right now, 5. 5 out of like 12, 15 have the dongle for the mouse, have the little Wi-Fi receiver for the mouse sticking in the computer. What I don't see in the back of this computer, let's lock in our ROM. What I don't see in the back here is I don't see that. Let's unplug it. I don't see that Wi-Fi or that receiver for the mouse. What I do see is a Wi-Fi dongle, but neither in the front nor the back do we have the little receiver for the actual wireless mouse. If that's what he had. Maybe he had a USB mouse, but our USB mice work, so all I can conclude is that perhaps his mouse didn't work. So we'll leave that as it is. Right now I'm going to remove driver support. Not that way, we're going to do it with Revo Uninstaller. An awesome program. Anybody that's never ran that or never seen it ran, stick around. We're going to do that right now. Then we'll call it. We'll remove that pesky driver support. Does anybody know what time it is? Let me know. Do you know what time it is out there? That's right. Time for coffee. Coffee time, my friends. Alright, we did install our USB drive in the front. There it is, it showed up, HP Tools. We're going to go in and get into Revo Uninstaller. We have it here. Great program. Run it as admin. Perhaps it'll run without running it as admin, but I run everything as admin when using any software or utility or tool, whatever you want to call it. Always run it as admin. It gives it the rights it needs to do the job the way it should be done. I believe. I could be 100% wrong. While this scans and builds its database of programs, it always takes a minute, unless that's, I hope it's going to see more than that. There we go. We'll hit cancel. We don't need the newer version yet. We'll get this one updated at a later point in time. Let's hit refresh and see. Are there any more programs other than those two? If so, compared to the control panel, this is the worst result I've ever seen. There we go. We are getting a few more. And there they come. Teleporting in. Scotty. You're running late, Scotty, with beaming in our results. Get on that transporter. Okay, let's flip our install date. Driver support, there it is. We're going to right click and hit uninstall, or you could simply highlight the program and go up. Click on uninstall. It's going to do the thing it does. For a moment, it should pull up the uninstaller for the program in question. The program you want to remove, that installer should pop up. And depending on how persistent this version of driver support is, depends on whether or not this is going to work. We may have to use like Malwarebytes or ADW to remove part of it. perhaps a combination of ADW, JRT, and RKill, and at that point you could start removing programs that are a little more stubborn to remove. So it seems like our system is slowing down, and right when we open our mouth, we insert the foot. I like to leave it checked on advanced. So we want to uninstall driver support. We'll let this do its thing. Some versions of this that I've seen, it may be different derivatives, different namings from different publishers, but just still very similar malware, bloatware, adware, whatever it is. It's not doing your computer any good. The different versions I've seen, some of them you can uninstall multiple times, and just out of the blue, out of nowhere, the program that you just uninstalled a few times will pop up. Those are the pesky ones. Those are the fun ones to get out. Alright. We'll see if this is going to work here. It's going to take a minute. So this is going to be fairly boring watching this. This may not be the portion for you, but hopefully it is. Hopefully it's somewhat informative. Yeah, I think the move is going to be, I don't even know. See, the problem, the risk you run with a program, or if you decide to pull the drive and back it up, pulling as an external, or even another option, pull a drive and try and clone it. The risk you run with it being infected, having that illegitimate software on that bogus, infectious waste crap that gets installed, with enough of that infecting your drive, your clone's not going to go through when you try to clone it with a Cronus or like DD with Linux or whatever program you happen to be using. Let's close these windows. Alright, we'll close this out. Close all tabs. We'll hit scan. Remember, leave it on advanced. You'll get, these are real similar results to what you get to see, but they both do the same thing. Safe is sometimes when you remove the wrong thing, you may, when using any utility, not any, I don't want to mean like you use Windows Defender or Malwarebytes and your computer becomes unbootable, but when you're using any type of software, anything to clean up, you potentially can make it, depending what you remove, you can make it so your computer will not boot. Alright. I think what the move might be, let's see what size hard drive this gentleman has. What do we have here looking at it? We have a Seagate. I always love how they put the size somewhere else. Capacity, 160 gig hard drive. Capacity, 160 gigabytes. I realize it's upside down, but we're going to try and find another drive to clone over to. It's very minimum. We're going to plug this in first and attempt the backup. We're going to pull this, plug it in as an external to not be booted in Windows, not letting anything, hopefully, that's infecting it. It won't be booted up, so that type stuff should not affect it. We'll do a backup. Directly after the backup, we're going to find a drive to clone this one over to. And that, after the clone, if it works, if we can get this cloned off to another drive that's not as not noisy, we have a few options here. We got an SSD. This is one of the burner SSDs for the shop. I have another one in the computer I use for managing the stream, and then we have multiple just burner drives that are not to be installed in a computer, but diagnose and fix if we have to clone stuff off of a aging, failing drive or do a backup. We can do that and then transfer it to a good drive, any way you want to call it. This isn't working though. As you can see, it is taking forever. This program can take a bit, but generally not this long. We may have to abandon it and see what we can do. Proceed. I think part of it is all the antiviruses. Part of it is the whatever infection is going on is from malware, any pups, trojans, any of that. And then the other part, I think, is the hard drive aging. So I think we got a combination of things going on. If we get a successful clone, we could work from the clone, or we could work from this drive attempting a cleanup. That's going to be tomorrow though. So I'm going to let this run, but I'm going to end the stream here, people. Thank you for tuning in. It is what time? So it's 1927, 1900 hours, 1927. Is that how you would say military time? 7:27, to be precise. It's evening. I'm going to go see the family. Have a good evening, a good morning, a good afternoon. Wherever you are, it's one of those. Fix something if you're into that. If it's a hobby, a passion, or something you've learned. Help somebody else fix something. Get it out there. Share it. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow.